Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraff.
And I'm Catherine, co-host and bestie.
Well, bestie, it's been a minute since we've been in the pod lab.
Yeah, it has been.
It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And we apologize to all of our listeners.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
Yeah.
We just couldn't get here.
Right.
We tried.
Yeah, we did try.
Yeah.
It's just been, it's just a season of a lot of stuff.
It is. If you're tuning in for the first time, Catherine and I are just a couple of best friends who started this podcast during the pandemic because there was literally nothing to do, nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. And we started the podcast because all of my comedy shows shut down. Mm-hmm. And so then we're like, what do we do now? Let's do a podcast. And we have been fairly consistent for like 3 years.
I would say we've been very consistent.
Yeah,
not fairly.
We're not that consistent about much.
I know.
But this, we've been consistent.
I know.
And then last week, we've been putting out a podcast every week. Every Wednesday at noon, a podcast goes out. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it was like
it's like
11:59.
Yeah, base at the last second.
Yeah, it is. So sometimes it was right at the last second, but we always got it in. And there have been different periods of time during the history of the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast that we were ahead. And that felt so good.
Those are the good old days.
They are. But we're going to get there again.
Yeah.
Well, last week, Catherine's like,
yeah, right.
Catherine is going through a season of where she's a caregiver for her mother. Sorry, I burped.
And I froze. I'm like, what's the pause? What do you want me to say?
I'm sorry. If you're listening for the first time, that's my laugh. When it gets into that high-pitched hiss, it's me laughing and trying to breathe.
Oh.
Anyway.
Well, we welcome laughs.
Yes. And so last week, Catherine was caregiving. She's been caregiving for her mother for months now. Her mom lives with her. She has Alzheimer's. She was living with her sister.
Yeah.
Now she's living with Catherine.
Most of the time.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a struggle for the whole family. And we just couldn't jive our schedules together.
Well, and you were away.
Yes.
And also, you work now.
Yes.
And so
Catherine says.
I'm like, oh, she works.
Well, I only work 2 days a week, Catherine. For our church.
It doesn't feel like that.
Well.
It feels like you work more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a bone to pick with you about that. No, I'm just kidding.
Boy. So anyway, we just couldn't get our schedules together to sit down at the table and record. And the irony was that caregiving got in the way
oh my gosh.
of us doing a podcast about caregiving.
Yes, oh my God. Yeah, and today in particular, I was trying to just research some stats and stuff because I could tell you firsthand some stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanted to look up stats for my mom. Oh gosh,
it just can't happen.
Yeah.
So today's episode is what number did we say we're on?
162.
Okay. It's actually 163.
Oops.
We're on episode number 163, and we are talking about the topic of caregiving. Mm-hmm. We're going to give you some information. I have a couple articles to share. One is called A 5-Step Guide on How to Survive and Thrive the Stress of Being a Caregiver.
Well, I can't wait.
I bet. Catherine has not seen this information, and she's being a little bit sarcastic, but we'll see how it resonates with someone who's really in it. You're in the thick of it. Mm-hmm. And then the second article that I wanted to go over is called 14 Life-Changing Tips to Relieve Caregiver Stress. Now, I might read through those and Catherine might go, that's not going to work. Because I'm pretty sure she's going to say that. And then our third takeaway, Catherine's got some stats to share just about caregiving in general that you might find interesting. We always close every episode of our podcast with some inspiration. Mm-hmm. And we have some scripture to share with you from the book of Matthew in that regard. And then finally, we have a call to action. So stay tuned all the way to the end so you don't miss a single nugget.
Do that, please.
Yes.
And, we want to thank our sponsors as well.
Oh, yeah. Please tell our new listeners all about our sponsorship program.
Oh, darn.
You want me to do it? I'll do it. Okay. We have sponsors of this program. We have about 14, 15, somewhere in there, 16 sponsors.
Oh, yeah. I think it's closer to 17.
Hey, we're getting up there. We're going to get to 20 pretty soon.
Yeah. If we don't keep up, they're going to drop us.
Oh, no, they're not.
Please don't drop us.
No, don't drop us. We'll haunt you. Are you kidding me? Here's how you become a sponsor of the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. You go to Patreon. and you put in the name Life Happens Laugh Anyway, and then you sponsor us. You give us $5 a month, and we give you our gratitude.
10.
You could give us 10 if you wanted to, because you can put a custom amount in there. Ron did that. He gives us $5.05.
Oh, he's so funny.
He just wanted to see if it would work. And our sponsors just get our gratitude. We just appreciate the fact that you contribute anything.
I hope that's enough.
Well, that's all we got so far. We can
gosh.
barely put out an episode every week. So
I know.
We're going to add video to this podcast eventually, maybe this year, maybe not, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
So you can find us on Patreon. You can also find us at my website, tracydegraff.com or comedythatsaves.com. And if you are not a sponsor, but you've been thinking about it, by golly, stop thinking and just do it.
You are so good
Well,
at adverts.
Gotta ask.
I know.
If you don't
I think you should be the one
ask.
that does it every time.
Okay, fine. I'll do it every time. All right, let's get on with it. We've got to talk about caregiving. I want to share this and see how these resonate with you. This is a 5-step guide, okay, for you, Catherine. You're in the thick of it. How to survive and thrive the stress of being a caregiver. Okay.
Okay.
Step 1, energy and sleep. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here's the first tip under that. Be sure to have enough sleep, 6 to 8 hours per night.
Oh, gee, I hadn't thought of that.
You should see her face. This is why we need video, Catherine.
Gosh. Oh,
Okay.
it never occurred to me.
All right, number 2 on step 1. I hope this isn't confusing. If necessary, see your healthcare professional and ask for a non-addictive sleeping pill to take for a short period of time to develop a pattern of regular good quality sleep.
Well, I just have to say to that, it is stressful to go to the doctor. Not that you shouldn't just because of that, but that adds a layer of stress. Plus, they don't just hand those out. I've tried that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
This is for you, not for her.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant it was for your mom.
No. I've tried that, and it's like, oh, maybe
Okay.
it'll send you to the sleep center.
Okay, get this one.
Yeah.
This is the other tip about sleep. Allow yourself to nap in the daytime if you feel tired, overwhelmed, or have to be awake a number of times during the night. She's flabbergasted.
I'm flabbergasted. Absolutely. Because one, that can't happen if you're caregiving, especially, well, there's different levels of, the one you're caring for, and their needs are all different, but that's not going to happen in someone who needs care all the time.
It's not realistic.
And right. And also, if I sleep during the day, I cannot sleep at night.
Yeah.
At all.
Okay, so that's for step 1. Step 2 says the mind. It says notice your thoughts. If they are overpoweringly and consistently negative, turn your mind to something or someone you love. Or write your negative thoughts on a piece of paper and shred it or burn it.
Okay.
That might work.
Take that one. That's like
It reminded me of the trash talk bin.
Right.
Yeah, Catherine and I have done this little exercise where you just kind of cathartically write on a piece of paper, whatever. Disappointments, resentments, thoughts, sins, whatever, and then you can burn it or shred it. It does help.
I think it's so genius. I think we should bring it to the Shark Tank.
That's a good idea. Get in there. Nope.
What would be really funny about that? So we've got this brilliant idea of recycling a pan and painting it and spending money. And I would love it if especially Kevin, the shark Kevin,
Mr.
Wonderful, if he started asking us about numbers.
Yeah. How much do you make? Wait.
And how much do you spend? What's your profit margin?
Wait. No. Let me give some backstory to our listeners who are just going, what are they talking about? Catherine and I, many years ago, we used to scour the Goodwills for these pans, pots and pans with lids, right? And then we would spray paint them beautiful colors and then write scripture verses on them and create these little, we called them
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Instructions on what to do and how to put your thoughts down and then burn it up.
Yes, and we called them a trash talk bin. Mm-hmm. And then we sold them in our friend's store for $20.
She's so patient with all of our, our
ideas.
Little bird houses with broken glass. We sold for $65.
Stop. Stop. I can't breathe. Anywho,
Oh, God.
the trash talk bin is effective. It's just a cathartic exercise to get rid of crap in your brain. That's what it is.
Oh, that's why I should go on Shark Tank.
I know. Okay. Let's go on. Here's another idea under mind. It says to begin a gratitude journal and write in it regularly and read it to divert your mind from the negative. Now, we do that.
Yeah.
Catherine and I do a grateful list every day to each other through text. 10 things we're grateful for.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little ranty, but not always.
Mine was today, wasn't it?
It was.
And I said, I know this is not a grateful list, but whatever.
It's fine. Okay, now the body. Eat 3 nutritious meals a day. 3 nutritious meals a day. Avoid rich food and excess sugar.
Well, I could see over a period of time that would kind of bog you down.
Yeah. Okay, walk daily and stretch.
You can't do that if you're full-time caregiving. Well, and again, depending on the level of the one you're caring for. My mom can't be left alone at all.
No. And even when you're with your mom, you can't do anything other than be at her beck and call.
I'm her full-time entertainer. Yes. I said to her the other day, Mom, would you like me to get balloons and start dancing in front of you?
You should do that. That would be funny. Okay, it says drink water, avoid alcohol. Oops. Whoops. Too late. Okay, emotions. Find support. A group on Facebook, a local volunteer group, the library, or your doctor may have info. I think that support groups are a really good idea.
And there's an Alzheimer's support group that I went to a couple times and before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And this is what's funny, is I just a few months ago joined again. I'm going back to the Alzheimer's support group. Guess what?
You forgot to go.
I forgot to go to the Alzheimer's. I thought, oh no, I'm in trouble.
It happens. Well, you're overwhelmed. You got too much to do. Okay, here's another one. Be prepared to make new friends.
How would anyone? What? Why?
I don't know. I don't know why they put that on here because
I couldn't handle
your old. Right, and your old friends are there.
Yeah.
It's not like your old friends are like, see, I'm not gonna do anything.
I don't get that at all.
Okay.
This is stupid. What's this from?
I don't know. I don't want to say now. Wait, here's one. This is a good one. Ask for help when you need it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It says many people benefit from having someone come in once or twice a week to allow you time out of the home for coffee with friends, alone, walk, whatever, refresh and recover. Not to be used for shopping, dental appointments, and so forth, but just to give you some you time. So, I mean, it's nice, but...
Well, I consider shopping me time.
Well, and I think that it's very difficult to have your loved one that you're caring for in your home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because it's 24/7.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. Love and value yourself for who you are.
I love myself. I love me so. Take myself to a movie show.
Wrap my arms around my waist.
I can't do that.
Stuff up my face. Oh, right. You can't. You're a nut.
Yeah.
Okay. Spirit. Find at least one thing that is beautiful every day. A dandelion or a daisy, a butterfly or a bird, a piece of music, etc. Mm-hmm. So look for something beautiful.
Yeah, I do that.
Imagine playing with a child, a puppy, or a kitten. I'm sorry. Catherine, your face. It was priceless.
Oh my God. Okay.
They take for granted. They assume that that's going to bring you joy.
Strike 3. They're done. Who are these people?
Wait. The last one says, lift your spirit with laughter and find the funny side of situations.
Okay, well, I can do that.
They're done.
Oh, that was good.
That was.
You know, Tracy, you Google things to Google, and you get.
I do.
You just get. It's amazing.
I do.
That's awesome.
Here's another one I found. 14 life-changing tips to relieve caregiver stress. Let's just go over them quickly. Let's see.
Well, wait. Are they more practical?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh.
Tip number 1. Complete small tasks to regain control.
Oh, yeah.
Like just small things.
No, that does make me feel better.
Yeah.
It makes me feel normal.
Right.
Like, yeah, just this morning, I put my duvet thing back on my bed.
And that felt good.
It did. Like, I struggled with it, but it was just so normal, and my bed was all clean and pretty, and so that felt great.
Yeah. Number 2, eat right. And I think that's a good tip for any of us going through a stressful time.
It is, right? Yeah. Because it's like some people, when you're super stressed, you just kind of go for things that are not so healthy because it's a quick, like, oh, this tastes good, or this makes me feel good, or
it's
whatever.
Sugar and fat.
Yeah, but then later on, it really,
Get enough sleep, which we've already addressed. Exercise, move, try meditation. Okay, here's one. Do a little coloring, like with crayons.
Yeah, okay.
It just says that adult coloring books are, popular, and they decrease stress through mindfulness. So.
Yeah.
Try it. All right. Number 7, a healthy dose of laughter, which we just had just over the kitten and the puppy thing. Number 8, get social. So, you actually do have to schedule time to get away with your friends. Like today we worked out and then we went and had coffee.
Yeah.
So that was all good.
I want to add this because I'm afraid I'll forget. Years ago, I went into this, it's like a permanent garage sale. And it's up in Michigan.
Yeah.
And it was a house that was converted to kind of an organized junk shop / garage sale. And when I went to pay, I'm like, ooh, this is weird. Because it was like an opening in a wall with a window. And then behind it, I could see like a little living room and a little kitchen. I'm like, oh, dang, this is a house. Anyway, I got to talking to the woman. And she said, and I never forgot this, this is way back when I never would have thought my future would be able to resonate with that. And she said that she had taken care of her dad for years and couldn't leave the house. And she said that, and she likes to be social. So she started having garage sales. And then it just became like a permanent thing because she enjoyed seeing people and talking to people and, of course, making some money on it. And, gosh, if it were closer, I'd be there all the time.
Yeah.
But I thought, wow, at the time, I thought, gosh, that seems pretty desperate,
Yeah, and it would be. And it is desperate. I think we all experienced a certain level of cabin fever through the pandemic when people were shut up and couldn't get out. But when you have that on top of having to care for somebody with a lot of needs.
Yeah, I read some statistics on how the pandemic really changed things with caregiving, too.
Number 10, get a pet. That's presuming that you like pets.
And it's presuming you could take on another responsibility.
Right, something else that eats and poops.
Having to take it out and...
Yeah. Number 11, just say no. We did some excellent research recently about boundaries, friends. So if you are having trouble saying no, take a look at our 2 episodes about boundaries. They're the last one and the one before that. So there's part 1, part 2, because we had a lot to say about it. Number 12, reclaim your identity. I think that this is good for any woman, especially in a season of care. It seems like women are always caregiving. Like we have the babies, and then we care for the family, and then we care for the parents.
Women have very many hats. And that thing about, figuring out your identity, I don't know. How do you do that when you're in the thick of it?
Well, I think that you just control the controllables, right? So like in your case, for example, Catherine, it's very important for her to go to church on Sunday. So she has a caregiver, a hired caregiver who comes into the home so that Catherine and her husband can go to church on Sunday. And then after church, they go to this local restaurant with their besties, me and Ron. and we also have small group twice a month on Sunday evening. And you're very conscientious about making sure that you pay someone, your mother, her funds or whatever, pay for care for her during the times when you need to be, like, that's your identity. You're a Christian. You do these things.
I was going to say, but how is that figuring out my identity? I guess now that you're putting it in that perspective, like, that's who I am. I'm a woman who, faith is very important to me.
Right.
And getting nourished by sermons and worship and all that. So I can get that. Okay.
Well, because sometimes people might be in a position where they're a caregiver and they feel like they can't do those things anymore. Mm-hmm. They feel like that's off the table. And I think what they're saying is find ways for you to still remain who you are.
I see.
And not give up your whole self. Okay, number 13, prioritize your own medical needs. They do say that often. That
I'll be reading something
caregivers
about that
get
too.
sick. Okay, and then 14, ask for help.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's good advice.
Right, and sometimes it's hard for people to ask for help because they like to be the ones to help, right? So asking for help can also be stressful. I'm saying that from my own experience and perspective, that because you don't want to burden someone else. But then I always try to remind myself that, well, it could also be robbing someone else of trying to bless.
Yeah, and the other part of it in this case, when you're dealing with older parents, especially with a lot of bathrooming issues and such,
you don't want to ask someone else to do it.
Or you might not have anybody else. There might not be any real options of people who can actually do it, which is kind of the case where you're at this point with your mother's disease. She's needing more and more care, and so you're kind of on that cusp.
And it's very difficult to find somebody that you trust, and not only trust, but that my mom will respond well to, and who would be willing to go through that. Because my mom gets nasty when she feels threatened or, she doesn't know her limits and what she's doing. So then she gets angry. And that's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
But I'm so blessed because we have two amazing, we have Dee and we have Joan, and both of them are stellar, and I love them, and they're just very caring and trusting women. And
Dee has been a longtime personal friend of yours, and Joan we met at the gym. So it was like God just placed these people in your life to give you this blessing.
The crazy thing is both of them live close to me, especially Dee. She's she's walking distance. And so that just is wonderful right there. And Joan, I haven't known her long, but I feel like I have known her for a long time. Like she literally is a friend.
Yeah, and Joan, I hope she's listening because she is one of our sponsors, so thank you for that, Joan. I hope she's listening because this is how I perceive Joan. She's always smiling. Even when she's not smiling, like her resting face, if you know what I mean, is a smile.
Yeah.
And she's approachable and warm and kind always. And we were just striking up a conversation with her in the pool while we were waiting for the pool class, and she mentioned that she was a caregiver providing respite care
for children,
for families who have kids with special needs. And that's where the conversation got started with, would you consider helping out with Doreen? So she helps out once a week?
Once a week.
Yeah.
And Dee, she had another friend whose mother needed care, and Dee did it for years, and I had wanted to approach Dee a long time ago, but I thought that, well, for one, she was caring for her friend, Nancy, but also I just didn't think that she'd want to do it again. So, but thankfully she said yes, and she's awesome. I mean, she even things. She'll tear up, when we talk
really
about
cares,
things that are, she really does.
Dee goes above and beyond because Catherine's mom, Doreen, is from England. And so Dee will find these funny English comedies or sketch comedies or whatever. And if she thinks that Doreen will enjoy it, she'll put it on the TV for her. And then she'll just sit there and howl.
Yeah,
and laugh. It's great
with her. We can't do that anymore. And she's blown up old photographs, and because Dee is really good at tech stuff too. So she's done that. She got her book from England, and they're just great. Joan goes over. Joan used to be a teacher. She's retired, and she has cards that she uses with my mom, and they talk, and it's just wonderful.
And when Joan comes, she brings coffee.
She does
for Catherine and Doreen. It's very sweet. So thank you, Lord, for providing care for Catherine and her family, for her mom. All right, share some stats, Catherine, with our listeners, because maybe people are out there saying, well, how big is this problem? Well, how big is it?
Well, I'm going to go over unpaid family caregivers more than the whatever the statistics are for the need for caregiving overall, I don't have that up. As you mentioned earlier, I tried to get all these things before we presented this to our listeners, but I was interrupted, so I couldn't get it all. But anyway, so I'm getting this from AARP, and it's current. That's another thing, too. It's hard to find something current. But this says care provided by millions of unpaid family caregivers across the U.S. was valued at $600 billion in 2021. The new report estimates a $130 billion increase.
$600 billion in 1 year?
Estimates a $130 billion increase. Did I say that wrong?
No, but I'm just asking you, are you giving stats for like a year? $600 billion in a year? That's how much it costs for professional, like this is unpaid caregivers? What are you talking about?
Okay, listen. Sorry. The staggering figure is based on about 38 million caregivers providing an average of 18 hours of care per week for a total of 36 billion hours of care at an average value of $16.59. So
per hour. And that's unpaid care.
That's unpaid care.
Okay.
So for perspective, that amount is considerably more than the $433 billion spent by families nationwide in 2021 for all out-of-pocket U.S. healthcare costs. Put it another way, the sheer act of trying to save $600 billion by setting aside, listen to this, everybody, $100,000 per year would take a total of 6 million years.
Wow. You know what that tells me? The baby boomers are old.
Well, people are living longer.
And there's a lot of them. Those baby boomers messed things up.
That's right.
They came and they just messed up everything.
Right. And time is money. And so they're kind of basing it on that.
They're basically saying there's an awful lot of people who need care. I heard a stat while I was doing research for this, and they said your chances of either needing care or giving care are pretty much 100%. You're either, in your lifetime, you're either going to need some care or you're going to be given it.
Yeah.
It's like in the 90 percentiles.
Yeah.
That's
so it says here,
eye-opening.
I know, no one knows this better than the nation's 38 million family caregivers who devote 36 billion hours of free care to older parents, spouses, partners, and friends with chronic, disabling, serious health conditions. I'm just going to read the rest of this, too. Family caregivers are the backbone of long-term care system in the U.S., but with over 60% of family caregivers working either full-time or part-time and 30% living with a child or grandchild, they need and deserve more assistance from city, state, and federal governments, says the report. So that's
there's a big need.
Yes.
There's a lot of people out there. And the interesting thing about it is the medical system and Medicare and all of that, it's so messed up. We were just talking about this earlier today. Catherine is working on getting her mom situated in a facility where she's going to get some respite. So she's going to go there, for 30 to 60 days, and Catherine's going to have a break.
And 92.
Right. Well, right now, unfortunately, your sister's house was destroyed by a pipe that burst.
Right. So she can't take mom
right
now.
So, and it's 3 levels and it's a mess. And so it's got to be all repaired. It's basically like rebuilding your house from the inside. It's a lot. Anyway, all that to say, they make you go through so many hoops. And your mom has Alzheimer's. She doesn't understand the hoops. But they put 15 different check marks in front of you, and you've got to do all of them, including getting blood drawn. And she does not understand what's going on.
Oh my gosh! I'll say the bleep. When that happened, oh gosh! First, you have to schlep her there,
right?
And that's, I'm telling you,
it's work,
folks. It's work. And then when she sees the building, she knows what it is, but I just tell her it's for me. And then, we get in there, it's for her. And then she's all mad and she's upset, But, so we schlep there, and it's a long walk from when you enter to the actual clinic inside. And then it's another long walk. And my mom's having difficulty walking now.
Yeah. From
the waiting area to the actual exam room. And then that's a whole thing. And then to be sent down to the lab at the end of the hallway. And my mom is tired and exhausted and mad at me for bringing her there,
Right.
Anyway, so when the phlebotomist stuck her in the arm with the needle, my mom goes, "Oh!" And she just yells at the lady, and she says to me, "Bleep off." Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's just bureaucracy is what it is.
It reminds me of when Elf gets stuck for the paternity test.
Only that was funny.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, any other stats you have to share?
Well, I want to point this out, too. It says that the pandemic has impacted family caregivers like nothing else and brought to the light the tension that many sandwich caregivers are. Do you know what that is?
I do.
Yes. So
you're like an Oreo. You're stuck in the middle.
Right. You're caring for most likely your parent or maybe an uncle, whatever, elderly, but you also are still tending to the needs of your children. Now, all 3 of my children are out of the house, but they still need and want.
Of course.
Me,
I mean, your daughter is getting married and she's young and yeah, there's a lot.
Right. So as I said, I wasn't able to really get everything all packed away together here, but I have some other stats here about mental and emotional effects of caregiving. Mm-hmm. And it says that, now this one is from Caregiving Statistics. It's a little outdated, which annoys me, but anyway, here it is. 40 to 70% of family caregivers have clinically significant symptoms of depression. Honestly, I think I'm in there.
Oh, for sure. I could tell you 100% you are. Oh. Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. About a quarter to half of these caregivers meet the diagnostic criteria for major depression. 20% of employed female caregivers age 50 and up report symptoms of depression compared to 8% of their non-caregiving peers. Caregivers whose care recipient has emotional or mental health problems, like my mom, are more than likely than others to report a decline in their own health. About 40% of family caregivers of people with dementia suffer from depression compared to 5 to 17% of non-caregivers of similar ages. Rates of depression increase with the severity of cognitive impairment of the person with dementia. And lastly on this one, caregivers who work full-time and are aged 45 years or less, which I don't understand this, show the greatest emotional, physical health deficit in contrast to non-caregivers. So what's that static?
I don't know. Is it your phone?
Oh, I think it is.
It might be. I think it was your phone.
Yep. Sorry.
All that to say, caregiving takes it out of you, friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. I'll read this one too about religion and spirituality. It says about 75% of caregivers pray regularly to cope with the demands of their caregiving responsibilities. And it goes on with more stats, but if anyone wants to look this up, it's Family Caregiver Alliance and / Caregiver Statistics, Health Technology, and Caregiving.
Yeah, I think one of the things that comes to my mind when I hear you say those stats, an encouragement to anybody listening to try to know your limits. We're all limited.
It's hard, though.
We're not
so
unlimited.
Hard.
We're just not.
I know. But you think to yourself, okay, so I'm really bummed that I'm not totally prepared for this because I also found something about guilt, the guilt
well, we
that
can
caregivers...
do a part 2. Anytime, we can do another episode.
maybe later.
Yeah.
But there was some really good information out there about a caregiver's guilt, and I really was able to resonate with a lot of it because it was, it's everything. But one of them was that you feel resentment toward your loved one because it's so stressful.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I don't want to resent my mom in any way. I don't resent her, but in a moment where it's so demanding, then this was...
It's very emotional, And resentment is an emotion. And,
Right.
you know, and knowing your limits and trying to find the help, get the help, find your identity, some of the other things that we talked about, you know, just making some you time, trying your best to sleep, eat, move, all the stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's hard. Like, if you're, like in my sister's case, she doesn't have anyone else in the house to help. So that's hard, right? Because you can't just nip to the local whatever at all. You can't go for a walk. You can't do any of that. At the same time, when you have other people in your house, you're kind of balancing them as well.
Right.
And their needs and their, you don't want to neglect them. And so it's a lot. For
It's a whole lot.
Everybody involved. Yeah.
It's a whole lot. Anything else on stats?
No, because,
You got to go?
I don't have to go.
What time do you
I
have
don't
to?
want to go.
Don't you have to be home by 5:30?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So do you want me to go?
No, but let's share our scripture.
Yeah.
Matthew has a lot to say, as we know.
Yes.
And Matthew chapter 6, verse 34 says, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own."
Absolutely. My dad always used to say, don't borrow trouble.
Yeah. It's easier to say than it is to do, but we all need to work on
But
it.
we can work on it.
We can work on it.
It's,
Because whatever we're worried about hasn't happened yet. You know?
yeah.
So we just have to look at today and embrace today and do the best that we can with today and let the rest of it figure it out. Also, Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This is Jesus speaking.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful picture. If you just picture Jesus, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light."
Right. It's his word that's a lamp to your feet, right? On the path that you're on.
Yeah.
And so if anyone's wondering, well, how do you do that? That's how. In his word, and just knowing his word, knowing what he says, and asking for faith and for belief, and it'll happen.
Yeah. You know,
It's not always easy.
faith is something so interesting. I've been thinking about this a lot lately in regards to faith. We don't have faith, right? It's actually good because it reminds us that faith doesn't come from ourselves. If we think we have faith because we're strong or because we're this or we've got it all together,
right.
if it's a self-centered faith, it's not faith. Faith comes from God. So if you're in a situation that you're overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, you're exhausted, you fill in the blank. Ask God for the faith to believe that it's going to be okay, that in the end it's going to work out.
And he will meet you where you are.
He does.
If you ask him and invite him, he will meet you where you are, whether you're really at the bottom or maybe not so, but meet you there.
And, I feel like today in our culture, people see that as such a crutch. Like, you're so weak, you Christian. You're so weak, you can't do life. You just have to depend on all this Christianese. And, I'm here to say, yes, I'm weak. I'm weak. And I'm broken. And I'm a mess.
Yeah.
But God, as you said, meets me where I am. I can't hide.
Right.
He knows every thought I've ever had. He knows where I have no faith.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is ask him, give me more faith to believe that this situation is going to be okay. Give me more faith.
And you have to, I hope people understand this too. You have to put in the work. I mean, you have to meet up with God too. You have
prayer and Bible study and
get
worship.
in his word. Right. And
preach it, Catherine.
give your heart over.
Yeah.
You have to do the work too, because that's just like with anything.
But literally what we do, the work that we do isn't really work. It's just like letting go of the work.
Right.
It's giving up the work. It's just saying, I can't do it. And so the Lord, would you please do it?
Right.
And then it's more of a discipline, like showing up for the disciplinary part of the Christian walk.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by you have to do something too. You have to meet him, right? You have to get into his word and open your heart.
Well, the verse says, "Come to me."
Mm-hmm.
Come.
Exactly.
Come to me.
Knock on my door, he says.
Yeah.
And I will answer.
Yeah.
That's
Amen.
the work.
Wow. Boy, we got really deep there. Didn't we? That was like a theology lesson.
Right.
All right. Our call to action today, friends, is 2 words. Get help. Let's get help.
Get help and meet God. You know, if you don't already.
Well, maybe he's the one that's going to help you. Maybe he's going to lead you to the help. I totally believe, I can see God leading you all along the way. He led you to the situation where you've got these 2 caregivers. He led you to that.
Yeah.
You know, to Dee and to Joan. Mm-hmm. He's leading you now on this respite journey.
I think so too.
He is.
Yeah.
So, all right, friends. Well, this has been a tough topic, caregiving.
Yeah.
It's been tough for us to even get here, so I'm grateful that here we are. And guess what? We're uploading this now. We are not editing. Catherine is going
to edit.
She's going to have a cow, but listen, we don't have time to edit. And Catherine will go through the podcast and she'll edit out any little or
Oh, yeah.
She edits it all out.
And then I feel I stutter and things, like not officially stutter, but, you know, just like have to think about what I'm going to say for a moment. And I'm like, ugh. Delete.
Moses stuttered, Catherine.
I know.
All right. So we're not going to edit because we don't have time. We're just uploading.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we got to add the music.
We're going to do that. All right. Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens, Life Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraff.
I'm still Catherine.
We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.